listening to the Fresh Out the Northwest podcast.
This is DJ Peg. Let's go. This is episode 84 of the Fresh Out the Northwest podcast, where we represent Northwest hip-hop culture. And today, I have a DJ that's been making big noise in the Northwest club scene. He stays booked at some of the hottest venues in the Puget Sound area. And he's one of the most versatile DJs I've heard in a long time. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Swerve One. What's up with you, bro?
What up? I'm chilling, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I know we've been trying to get this happening for a while.
Yeah, I know, man. We both busy. We both got busy schedules.
Yeah, sure.
Bro, you're still on 2 turntables, bro. That's impressive, man. Like,
Thanks, man.
I gave up 2 turntables like 10 years ago just because I didn't want to carry that much equipment. Plus, I'm old, man. I'm in my 50s. But, man, and you know how to rock them, too. Like, I definitely would say you definitely got skills. That's why I said versatile, because, like,
Thank you.
I've seen you in a few venues. Like, I've seen you at Bimbo. I seen you at another club. I can't think of it, but it was a younger crowd. And then you do Motown at Mondays. Like, very versatile.
Gotta stay on the curve, my friend.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. But I just wanted to let you know, man, I do pay attention to what you're doing. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So let's get to this first question. What was the first equipment you used when you started DJing?
Oh, man. So when I first started, that was probably back in like 1992.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in Montana, so I didn't really have like the access to all of the equipment and all the music, so to speak. So when I first started out, I started out on, I want to say they were Sony direct drive turntables
I remember
and a Radio Shack realistic mixer.
those. Okay.
Because we had a Radio Shack there that sold like some DJ equipment, but not a lot. But we were able to get, nowadays you wouldn't use those same needles, but we were able to get, needles and the mixer kind of part of it. And then just kind of started as, I want to say like a Cool Herc kind of thing, but kind of, like we were just using like home stereo speakers and, doing what we could do.
Right. Okay. Bro, you've been DJing since 92. How old are you?
Yeah, probably about that.
Oh, because you look young, bro. So I'm doing the math in my head.
Brown don't frown, homie.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely, man. That's dope.
Yeah, because I just turned 49 in May.
No way.
Yeah.
Bro, I thought you was in your 30s. That's crazy. So we're only like,
Don't tell anybody.
well, it's too late now.
I know, right?
So we're only like 5 years apart. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. That explains your versatility. That makes
100%.
It makes so
100%.
much sense. Okay.
Well, especially like growing up in Montana, my side of the family were more into like rock and country.
Right.
Most of my friends growing up were as well. I mean, because, growing up in the 90s, that's kind of when we're coming into the growth of hip hop, and it was starting to slowly, like late 90s, early 2000s when you started seeing these things more merge.
Right.
So, yeah, that's definitely where I get my versatility. I even had like a radio show at the trade school that I went to back in 98. On an AM station called KMAY.
Right.
But I was just playing hip hop then, because we had nothing like that in Billings, where I grew up in Montana. So, there's nowhere where we can hear, Wu-Tang or, even like early like Death Row records, things like that.
Right.
I guess for me, it's like, even though living in Seattle, being on the West Coast, growing up in Montana, I was always like East Coast rap, like all day, every day. I would probably say that it's probably still kind of that way, kind of.
Right.
The Griselda shit, I'm like huge fan of. But West Coast, like Bay Area rap, LA's coming back, that kind of thing. So it's like, it's all coming full circle again. But yeah, the versatility definitely came from, just people I grew up with, where I got get my inspiration from and stuff like that. Because I mean, for us, this is pre-internet, so
Right.
we couldn't order records online. Everything came from like, send a, you know, postage mark, note to. I mean, I think back then I was ordering from like Beach Street
Oh yeah, I forgot about
and
that. Yeah.
shoot, I'm trying to think of the other one in New York. I don't think they're around anymore, but like mostly like Beach Street and crap. There was another one too. So it's just like blind luck sometimes too. If you didn't know those records, or it's like a new single, just throwing it out there. But like say like Smooth the Hustler or some shit. Like you didn't know if that record was going to be solid or not. If that was like the second single on the album. But that's how we got our music. So you kind of had to fill in those blanks. And then just growing up with like different people, like the people around you kind of inspired that too.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It all makes sense, man. That's dope. And speaking of inspiration, what inspired you to become a DJ?
Well, for me, I would say growing up, I was probably like in sixth grade, I want to say,
Hmm.
but I went out to Chicago because we had family out there, and my uncle is a DJ. So he already had like Technique 1200s, like the OGs, like the ones that you can drop from 4 stories and they don't break, the OG tanks.
Right, I know what you're talking
Um,
about. Yeah, yeah.
so like my uncle Stevie Price, he was a house DJ in Chicago, and it's kind of like a big brother thing, like you want to be like Big Bro, and Big Bro, is got the nice whip, like he got, he's dressed fly, he's got records galore. The whole bedroom's like, looks like Omar Epps' room in Juice, like that kind of vibe,
Right.
records everywhere. You got your turntable set up in there. And I was like, man, like this shit is dope. And so um, for me, it just kind of started something I always wanted to do, but then like right around the time I just specifically remember because I was passing through was like right around like when Tribe Called Quest Midnight Marauders came out. I just remember him having like white labels of that album.
Right.
And I'm just like, holy shit, this is cool. Like I'm literally listening to this on a CD, and my uncle has this on vinyl, and it's like, it's a white label. Like, he's getting this straight from the label. Like this is cool. And it was just something that just kind of drew me in. I mean, the music for me has always been something. Even before I was a DJ, I've always been like around music. My mom played music in the house, my grandmother, etc. um so that's kind of where I get like the country and the rock vibe of it. And then my stepdad growing up, he's from the south side of Chicago, so it was like a whole different vibe of like funk soul records, but also like the the growth in the beginning of hip hop. I mean, the first one of the first records that I remember, besides like Curtis Blow that he brought home for the breaks, was Joski Loves the Pee Wee Dance. I
Oh,
remember hearing that on the radio in Chicago, and on God, like from that moment on, I was like, this is it.
oh yeah.
And so for me, that was just like the coolest shit. And like, these cats are on college radio playing these records. And, in the 80s, like there wasn't a lot, like, I mean, I even talked to the OGs out here. There wasn't like a lot going on like in the early 80s besides probably, like Cut Father and those cats, Preen, to name a few, that, were kind of doing that same thing. So it was just like so rare. So like to hear these records and DJs are cutting, they're mixing the records, blending them together. Like to me, it's like the perfect marriage, like nothing sounds cooler in life to me than two songs that mix together perfectly.
Oh yeah. All right, bro. Yeah, man. Shit. Bro, I'm glad I'm doing this interview because I'm getting to know you better. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Let me ask you this question. How do you feel about the Northwest club scene? And man, okay, I'm gonna change this question up a little bit. How do you feel about it now, and how did you feel about it back then?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me sound like an old hater over here.
No, it's all good,
Um,
man. Speak your truth.
no, I So like when I first started, I moved out here in 2005.
Okay.
I was blessed to be connected with Melissa Darby, Melly in the scene. She was running a company called Obese Productions at the time that later transformed into Rain City Productions. And they were putting on like all the hip hop shows in Seattle at the time. This was like 2005 to, I mean, still kind of are, but there's other people involved with it now. And so for me, when I started doing that, I didn't come out here originally with the intentions of like, hey, I'm going to DJ all these spots. You know, it was more like I moved out here to DJ, but I also have family out here and I'm paying my dues.
Right.
So when I first started and met Melly, I was only like handing out flyers at shows. And so I was that guy standing outside the venue, you know, Chop Suey, Showbox, et cetera, Nectar, and, you know, handing out flyers to the shows coming up. So I finally did get my chance. They were looking for a guy. No, none of the guys that they had reached out to were available. So I ended up getting like my opportunity like a year later in 2006 through my homies like Sam Chesno and Jelani Jackson. They were part of the team too. Just like got this cool cosign. You know, I was like MySpace friends with B Mello and Scene before I moved here. So it's like I kind of knew a couple people, and then I moved here, you know, kind of on that backpack rap kind of vibe, you know, like I would never play in the clubs, you know, I would never, you know, I would never, you know, put my integrity out there in a negative way kind of thing.
Right.
So I was very prideful. And then the more shows I did, I was getting booked for other things. Then we started, you know, it started out, you know, just doing like bar gigs. And it was like, man, this is kind of fun, you know, and then you realize like, hey, you know, we got to play some dance music. And so it kind of just led into that, where it was just like, you know, playing dance music, stuff like that. And I was fortunate enough to like, you know, start building a following from that. And so I was getting booked for these other places to where, you know, started playing clubs because it was like, that's where the money's at.
Right.
And my mindset, my goals kind of shifted a little bit, like just seeing some of my peers doing their thing, you know, and they're going out of state and they're playing out of state. And it's like, man, that shit's dope. You know, like I want to play in Vegas. I want to play in, you know, Miami or, you know, LA, et cetera.
Right.
You know, so like, to be honest, like seeing doing like kind of what I felt like at the time. I mean, I can never compare myself to that dude. That dude's bad as fuck. But I felt a similarity in the sense of he started out kind of doing that same thing, you know, doing stuff with Zulu and like, you know, opening up for, you know, Method Man, for example, because I remember seeing him open for Method Man and playing all these underground records, and then doing, you know, the KXP stuff. B Mello was doing street sound, so it's like, you know, showing the audience new hip hop. So that's how, like, by that point, like, that's how I was getting my music. But then seeing those guys kind of go in a different direction and start doing more club stuff, I'm like, okay, I think as far as like growth as a DJ, if you're really trying to get out there, these are the things you got to do.
Right.
So when I when I first started, like one of my first like regular weeklies, I mean, I had a couple, but this goes back a ways. But that stands out the most was like when I was doing Barboza for Inferno, and that was roughly like 12 years ago. And I did that every Saturday. So it kind of gave me firsthand look of like, you know, they're charging cover at the door. You know, you're trying to negotiate this rate. You're trying to make it fair so you can bring guests in. So, you know, you kind of played that role of like somewhat of a promoter and like organizer. So I felt like at the time there just wasn't a lot of opportunity like that. I mean, we're coming from, as I learned later on, that like you guys had a hip hop band forever, you know, like that was crazy.
Right.
So like hip hop on Capitol Hill or like, you know, in these popular areas wasn't even thought of, you know? So like to be able to do that is pretty freaking awesome to say. And we had, you know, we had a lot of fun doing it. I would say that the club scene was exciting at the time because it was all new territory. You know, we didn't know what to expect, you know, especially in Seattle. Not a lot of people were doing weeklies. So, you know, to be able to do that was fun.
Right.
But then, like, for me personally, you know, you get older. um, I stopped drinking back in like 2019. And so, like, going from like this party guy to like not the party guy kind of changed my vision and how I see things, how I saw these things playing out. And so the club scene, you know, it's always been, you know, tooth and nail. You know, everybody's fighting to get on. It's hard to get, you know, to spread the love, so to speak, you know, and put everybody on. It's almost impossible. But, you know, a lot of these guys try to. I think that, frankly, I think that the club scene was different pre-COVID, in the sense of we had to work our asses off to get to those points.
Yep, I agree.
And now the whole world of like social media has completely blinded that whole tactic, I guess, or like, you know, like the bar you've reached kind of thing, to where now it's just like, oh, you know, little Bobby, you know, you got, you know, 5,000 followers, but you can bring 100 people to the club. Cool, let's put you on in these spots that normally, you know, other people had to like, they really had to like pay dues to get.
Right.
So I think that it felt like pre-COVID that, you know, we really had to work, us DJs had to work really hard to get in those places, in those positions. And then at that time, you know, like right before COVID, I was doing Q nightclub every every Saturday for a night called Hot Sauce. So I was, you know, able to bring out, you know, national DJs, you know, artists, etc. I mean, just to name a few, you know, we had Biz Markie, we've had Too Short,
Right.
you know, but then we'd have, you know, DJ Headspin or like Jay Espinoza. So like I was blessed to be able to bring these guys in and do these things and like, you know, kind of elevate the game. Now we come out of COVID, clubs are trying to get rebranded, reopened. They're trying to recoup some of this money that they lost. So, you know, it was all like, you know, small investment, quick return kind of mindset.
Right.
I think that, God, I'm gonna sound like a hater for this.
No, no, man.
I just think that the DJ game has turned into like a, you know, everybody gets a chance, you know,
Oh yeah.
kind of vibe. And I see a lot of it, you know, like a lot of these kids, and it's hard not to say anything because you got to let like cats figure some of the shit out themselves. But it's hard seeing a lot of these promoters. I'm not going to say any names, but some of these promoters, some of these venue owners, you know, some of these key figures that are in the city that we know, even that, you know, have kind of exploited this new generation because now all these guys are having to do all the legwork. They, you know, still have to be the promoter. You know, they still have to make the content because now it's about content too.
Right.
And I think that the content thing kind of blurs the actual art of it because it's like, yo, if you're really filthy doing reels, you know, you got a chance to get on kind of thing.
Right.
Where as well as, and like one of my biggest pet peeves is like, I remember coming up, you know, and this is like, you know, kind of a back in my day kind of tone, but I'm not trying to, but it just seemed like if I'm coming and rocking with you, Peg, and you're playing on a Rain 57, you know, I might be playing on a Beztech,
Right.
but like I got to be able to come in and play on your shit. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna. Nowadays, these cats are so comfortable, like switching up the audible at the line that it's like I call it Linus with the blanket kind of syndrome.
Right.
You know, they all come in with their own controllers. Now you see a DJ booth that's got 6 fucking controllers in the booth. You know, you got them setting up gear on top of turntables, on top of like club mixers, and they're using their little Pioneer. You know, instead of like, you know, if there's 3 or 4 of us on the bill, you know, we can rock together. You know what I'm saying? So like, It just kind of feels like it's like an equal opportunity employer, I guess is the best way I can explain it,
Right.
where everybody gets a chance. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just feel like us older DJs worked really fucking hard to make it easier for this new generation. And the new generation doesn't even realize how good they got it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's like really frustrating. You know, I'm not the type of person that I need the flowers. I need people to say this or that or whatever. But it's just the way that they move as well. Because now there's like this certain like arrogance to it. And, you know, sadly with the internet and like social media, it's all, you know, we know if you're really doing it or not, even if you fake it.
Right.
So it's like you still can't fake it even when people try to fake it. You know, I know your party's whack if you're not showing me the crowd, you know, like just shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, if I see 10 DJs in the back in the booth, you know, like it's a boiler room set and you're not showing me the crowd, isn't that what we always kind of, that was kind of our flex, you know, it's like, yo, we got it popping in here.
Yeah.
We got 500 people at this party. Check it out.
Right.
And
Right.
now it's the current state of DJing, I think is just more like, it's almost, I mean, sadly, it's kind of like the current rap too, you know, it's just, let's, you know, like, look how cool I am. Like, it's okay to look cool, but like, show me something.
Right.
You know, we're all playing the same songs. You know, you got these different themed parties, but everybody kind of sticks together and like nobody branches out. So it's like just these like weird, like little, like small groups of people that have their own parties, and that's dope. But it's like, you know, as a whole, I don't think it makes the scene better long term.
Yeah, I hear you 100% on that, bro. You know what I mean?
But I also say that too because, you know, I've talked to people that don't even know, you know, who Cut Father is, for example, RIP. But it's like, or they know who Preem is, for, you know, or they even know who like B Mellow is, you know, or DV1, you know, or like Soul One, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's always been my goal to try to keep the history, the tradition of it alive.
Oh yeah.
And so people, you know where it came from. They know who's done it, you know, and it's not, you know, a situation that, you know, people need to have their ego stroked. I mean, most of us are almost in our 50s. We don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been there, done that shit as far as, you know, needing that instant gratification of it. So to end this, because I just rambled like a motherfucker,
No, man.
but I just think that the club scene was a little bit different pre-COVID because more people were going out.
Right.
So it's like you saw the result of your hard work. You know, like if I'm out wheat pasting or I'm out handing out flyers, or, you know, you're paying for ads on social media, or like, you know, you're going through your phone and sending you know, a 200 person group text. You know, you were like avidly on your shit, and there was like way less options. So it made it easier for those parties to be more successful than you could even imagine just for that alone. Now everybody's kind of done the kind of easy copycat shit where, I mean, perfect example. How many brunch freaking gigs are out there now?
Right. Right.
Everybody's doing a brunch. Everybody. But like, and everybody's trying to do their own like thing to it. But at the end of the day, what does it end up turning into? You know, like it just turns into like rap party at lunch kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, you go to a different city, you go to a brunch party, you know, there might be playing some smooth ass, like, you know, R&B shit that's like, this is cracking, you know? So it's like cats are scared to take a chance. And then the ones that are, you know, they got a really good thing going. I mean, the Amapiano scene in Seattle is great. You know, cats like Lace Cadence and Nyram and, you know, Blast, those cats are killing it. They're doing their thing, you know. Lace is on the radio, he's doing his thing, and he's spreading that word, and that's beautiful. But I don't feel like everybody's doing that part of it,
Right.
you know. So I think there's a lot of good in it, and I think there's also a little bad in it because a lot of these guys, a lot of these DJs aren't really in for that reason. You know, they're only into it for like the solo gratification factor of it instead of like, you know, practicing what they're claiming by saying, you know, hey, we're, you know, doing this for the community, for the scene. And it's like, I don't know, dog. Like, you know, I don't see it like that. You know, like I see, you know, like, you know, cats even like Yo Highness, my boy Yo Highness, like, or Karma. It's like they are actually doing things for the community, you know, they're doing a variety of different things, and that's dope. But a lot of these cats are just like out for dolo, you know, kind of play with the same 3 or 4 people, you know, and not saying that, you know, like for myself that I want to be on that, on those things, because, you know, I'm in a whole different lane now that I don't need to do that. But it'd just be nice to see people kind of spread the love like how we used to do it, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like I said, it's different now. Social media is a huge driving force behind all of these things, more so than they were before. Because even before it wasn't like that, I guess. It was a lot different.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, bro. I mean, yeah, man. I'm glad you told how you feel, bro. That's what this podcast is for.
Like I said, I think there's some good in it, but I think that there's some bad in it, and I think that it's like, you know, I will say confidently, and I could get some smoke for this, but fuck it. But I think a lot of these OGs that are still trying to play in that pool with these young kids need to stop taking advantage of these young bucks.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully these young bucks are smart enough, and some of them are, that they're throwing their own fucking parties and they're getting their coin.
Yep.
You know, perfect example of that is like the cats that are doing like the alphabet vodka parties that they do at LTD, for example, in Fremont.
Right.
Those cats are doing their thing. And these like sold out ass, like, you know, this looks like freaking the do-over, you know, like they're killing it. You know, props to those guys, because, you know, I think that that's the future of the game. Is just saying, you know what, hey, yo, let's go rent this venue for $1,000. This place holds 500 people. You know, who, you know, think of maybe 1 or 2 other DJs you want to put on that you think are gonna like be, you know, in it. You know, like we're doing this together. You know, kind of thing. You know, we share the same vision of throwing this really dope party.
Right.
You know, it's just like the homie Nopa and in the Bay. You know, he does R&B and rips. He's putting the whole city on, and he's bringing outside people. You know, so it's like, let me book 4 Color Zach, but then I'm putting 3 local guys on, you know, that are killing it in the Bay, for example. And so it's like you're still showcasing these other cats, like, yo, there's some good shit out there outside of our region. Peep these guys, but we're also kind of bringing it in, saying, hey, these local guys are good too, and they're throwing their own parties. And like now, this dude is doing parties across the country. Like, dude's doing one in Tokyo.
Oh wow.
You know. And you know, when you get to that point, you're obviously able to control the narrative and you control the bag. Right. So it's like, I think that that's where it's different now than it was for the club scene prior, because less people are going to the club. And now that, you know, drinks are more expensive, you know, it's 90% of these places have turned into like a bottle service venue, and nobody, you know, let's be real. Like, I think more people have quit drinking in the last like 5 years than the 5 years prior.
I agree.
So not everybody's about that same shit.
Right.
You know, why do we have more hookah bars, you know, and less like alcohol bars, for example? Like, obviously these cats want to just go and chill, and they want to listen to chill ass shit. Not everybody wants to dance, especially when music, you know, club music for the most part is pretty repetitious. You know, everybody kind of plays the same stuff. There's rarely any good hip hop out there nowadays that, like, you know, you can run it like you could, you know, 10 years ago. You know, it's not the same.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Hit those comments and let me know, at me on that. You know, but I just, you know, like, I still listen to new rap. Like I said earlier, like, you know, West Side Gun and Griselda is my shit. Like, I'm die hard for that.
Right.
And like, that's the new wave. But like, what I resonate to that is like, this dude's working with, like, you know, legends. Yeah. You know, like, he's still giving that back while still putting his people on. But he's like, yo, you haven't heard a record with Cool G Rap in a minute, have you?
Nope.
Here we go.
Yep.
You know, produced by Primo or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just cool to see when the new wave is still like giving homage to the old wave. And I think that there's some people out there, like the people that I've named, that are doing those parties in Seattle, that are doing it. But then there's these cats that, you know, even you and I have worked with, that are still trying to be in the club scene, that don't need to be.
Right.
Sit down, go retire.
Yeah.
You're just taking advantage of these kids. You're paying them. I mean, they'll lie to you too and say, they're making the bag. They're not,
Yeah.
and if they are, it's not going to last forever, because once they start losing money, then they're going to let them know.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're going to be working for a bottle of fucking like Dom P.
Right. Yeah. A couple of things I want to hit on, bro, before we move to the next question. Number
Oh yeah, for
one,
sure.
yeah, man, me and Scene used to work together, bro. So I don't think of people. I
Oh
wouldn't
damn,
say
I didn't know that.
I wouldn't say we worked together. We was in the same DJ crew. So it
Oh
was
shit.
me,
Okay.
Scene, Dice, Razor, and
Dice is another one though.
yep. And then
That's the dude, man. Dice is nice.
yeah, we're
I didn't
all
mean to make that or rhyme either. I
right. No,
swear.
no, we're all from the same crew. So yeah, like I said,
Okay.
and then he passed away. Risk. We're all from the
Yep.
same
Risk
crew.
One, R.I.P.
So
That was a dude.
yeah, so I was kind of like the lesser. I was the weak link. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
guys got skills. I didn't have their skills, but I know how to rock a crowd, and I don't have no problem saying that. When it comes to like pure DJ and turntablism, all those guys are nice. You know what I mean?
But every DJ has a different skill set though too. I mean, not everybody is going to be able to scratch like Dice or Scene.
Right.
Not everybody's going to be able to rock a party and scratch like those two I just named.
Right.
I've heard rumors, maybe I'm wrong, but I heard that Dice was the guy in the crew that was really like, that's the scratch DJ. Like this dude, if you're having a battle with another crew, that's the guy that's the guy you put up there.
I would say Dice was second in our crew. Razor was the guy.
Razor? Okay. See, I never met Razor though.
Yeah, Razor was the guy. Super
Okay.
nice. Yeah, and so they were like the turntablism, but I was more like the club DJ, right? My
Yeah.
blends are nice, but like I couldn't like scratch like that. But if you talking about rocking a crowd, I mean, you see me DJ, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how you do it though. I mean, everybody I think has a different skill set when it comes to that, and recognizing the pros and cons, just like any situation, like, that's key.
right.
Not everybody, like you said, is going to be this crazy, stupid scratch DJ, a rock raider or something like that, RIP.
Right.
But as long as you're doing what you need to be doing, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's really scratching like that at a party, A.
Right.
And B, like, there's more, I think there's more elements to the DJing, than just being a scratch DJ for sure. I mean, so I think song selection, controversial take here, but I think that, song selection way stronger than the scratch.
Oh yeah. I think on my end, it's song selection, it's flow, and it's transition.
Totally.
That's
Exactly.
I got to flow. Like I can't go from a mellow song and hit you with some hardcore. I got to work my way there and then work my way back.
100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're cooking, man. You're cooking. So it's like everybody cooks differently.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then another person was me and DV1 go way back, but
That's my boy.
yeah. So I wouldn't say I started DV1 on DJing, but I was one of the first people to introduce him to DJing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, me and DV go.
So that goes back to the DDS crew, right?
Yeah, like yeah, man. My story's nuts. But anyway.
Man, I should be interviewing you next. Okay.
Yeah, you should be,
Let's
man.
flip it for the next episode. I'll interview you.
Okay, definitely. So man, next question. What advice would you give someone starting out in the DJ game?
I would say stay humble. That's something that I learned, from Risk, and people like Scene, even Soul. DV1 was a perfect example of that.
Right.
Preem, same thing, and then just seeing like, in my opinion, top 10 producer in the world. 2 of them live in Seattle, and that's Vida and Jake.
Yep.
And I'm like, if Jake's putting out records with John Cena and this dude ain't acting a fool, I have no leg to stand on, bro. Like I am not that dude right now. So I have no reason to be flexing on anybody.
You know what's crazy
So
about Jake One?
I would say, first things first is like, stay humble, through the L's and through the dubs. always try to work with as many people as you can. And sometimes, it's just who we are as humans. You're not going to always you might not vibe with everybody, so you kind of got to feel that out. Don't put yourself in situations that, you feel like you have to compromise your integrity or, who you are, what you're trying to achieve. And definitely, I would say, lastly, and that's something that I find myself doing right now, is just know your worth. And, you know, there's no reason why you guys or these, folks that are coming up, should be, making peanuts on the dollar. I mean, these venues know what they're doing. They know what they're on when they book us DJs, and they want us to be the draw. At least know your worth. Nobody should be making less than $100 an hour, period. And that's still low,
Right.
but put yourself in the situation to practice, network with people, be as versatile as you can, because the more versatile you are, the more opportunities that you're going to have. If you can only do this one thing, if you're really filthy at drum and bass, probably not going to get booked for a reggaeton night, for example.
Right.
I was trying to think of something way like this lane and that lane.
Right.
So just being able to do all those things. And I mean, that's like when we talked in the beginning, it's like, that's what I've always tried to be, at least know what the F I'm doing when I'm doing those different sets, that like, it doesn't just seem like I got hired to do it for this.
Right.
Like, for example, like, I feel confident enough to say, like, I could probably play almost any party, but I'm not going to play like a country western party, for example.
Right.
I probably wouldn't even feel right playing like, a drum and bass party. So just kind of knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, you know, and everybody's is going to be different. Some people might want to do it for the love. Other cats want to do it because they're trying to get out there. They want the views, they want the hits, and that's cool. I mean, our society has trained us now that we want that instant self-gratification, period, of who you are.
Right.
We all do it. We're all guilty of it. We all like it. Anybody that's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we all like it when people show us love.
Yeah.
Just how it is.
Yep.
So, just and if anything, and then I'll end with this, but I would say, and lastly too, is just, if there's OGs around you, just learn from the OGs, ask questions, don't be too cool to take criticism. Most people that, if you're asking them to be a mentor of some sort, or like, somebody that's giving you advice, nobody's trying to flex. It's just like, hey, I'm here to help you. Let me help you.
Right.
So for me, that's the most important, because, I've had people that, showed me the ropes too, like I had Melly to do that, and all these other venues that I worked with, Steven Severin, when he was still at Numos, and he, what he's doing now, it's always been like an instrumental kind of thing to me, getting to know Preem even better through the years. I mean, Preem has been the dude. Like, I can ask him anything, he'll tell me, like, and I'm still asking questions, what I'm saying? Like, because I still want to know,
Right.
and I still want to know about the history and the culture of the city. I think that's another thing that's important too, is just, know who did it first, did it before you, and like, if anything, like, how could you do it better?
Right. Yeah.
Because we should all be aiming to be better, than the people that are. It's just like being a parent. You want your kids to be better, like better than you are,
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing, I don't have kids, so I guess, like, I kind of look at it like a Gucci Mane thing, it's like all my children kind of thing, like these younger DJs up and coming, like, I want to be able to, like, give them good advice, even if they think I'm trying to be on some hater shit. I'm not going to be on some hater shit, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, to an extent. So don't take it personally, because, I'm not going to be mean and say, hey, don't do this or do that. But, just know your worth, and don't let people take advantage of you, because it's a cold, cold game, man. Cold game.
Yeah, I agree. I learned that the hard way. It took a
Yeah.
it took a dude from Detroit one day. And he said, "How much you charge a DJ?" And I told him the price. He's like, "Yeah, He literally told me to quadruple. Literally, is
Okay.
like quadruple that number you just said, and I was afraid that I wouldn't get booked. Here goes the crazy thing: I quadrupled the number, and my clientele changed, and then I started getting booked, and then it became better. So yeah, that's great advice, man. Know your worth. I didn't know my worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was in a demographic where everybody was paying me peanuts, and and then like I said, once I uh once I quadrupled that number, yeah, man, the money came. Like I stay booked right now, bro. Like
And that's the key because you're also doing things that not everybody else is doing too.
right,
So like that's super important that you're staying relevant enough to get booked consistently and get exactly what you're looking for to create the life that you want to have.
right,
And that's important.
yeah,
It just goes back to the whole like, like you said, the know your worth and just having integrity because it might suck that first month when you're giving quoting your rate and they're like, I'll go with someone else. But I guarantee you stick to what you believe in, it's going to pay off. And then after that, like you just said, it all comes in.
yeah, yeah, and
You're
like
scared to ask for it. I mean, I'm in the same boat too. I had to quote somebody for like a private party that I'm doing on Saturday, and I was scared to ask the number because I was like, fuck, I don't need this money, but I also want to, it's a good opportunity because they only want me for 3 hours. So like, I don't have to take a club gig. So I kind of want this gig,
right,
but what's a good amount? So, I quoted them the amount that I thought was fair, and they came back and said, cool. So I'm like, all right, bet.
yep,
And so, I've been lucky in that aspect of it, and doing weddings, like, I mean, you're doing it too. It's like, that's really where the money's at, but it's just a different mindset. A lot of people don't want to do the work. It's a lot of work,
it is.
but it's
Trust me,
rewarding.
right? Nah, it is. Yeah, that's funny because somebody Friday was like, "Why should I pay you, well, that much?" It wasn't even the person that paid me. It was like the uncle that didn't put up a goddamn dime was asking
It's
why
always
should
the uncle it's always the uncle or like the brother of the bride. I swear to God,
right, and he
that
was
think
like,
that they could do it better because you didn't play, John Michael Montgomery or some shit. You
right,
know what I mean? Like
but
you
then,
didn't play some weird shit that they didn't know about.
right.
Yeah, I know that vibe for sure.
Yeah, but this is what I told him. I said, "You guys are paying me for my experience. Period. That's it. My experience. I'm gonna
Yeah,
come in here. I'm gonna do my job. I showed up early, and I killed it at the end of the night. You know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
all that matters.
Yeah, like I had everybody dancing, and and then yeah, and he was like, "I don't understand. That's weird, bro. You didn't pay shit. Why should you care anyway?"
Well, it's always the ones that have an opinion that have to say the most.
Right.
Or think that they're more entitled to something than what they should be. And I'm sure it's a situation that, like you said, yeah, he found out how much he made and he threw a fucking cow. But what he should have been doing is asking that the camera person, the photographer, the videographer, how much they were getting paid.
Hell yeah. The
Like,
flower,
get out of
the flower
get out of
person.
your bag though.
I think flower people, the florists, make more money than we do, bro. It's crazy, man.
I know for a fact that the photographer and the videographer do for sure, and I'm almost certain that the coordinator does for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And
And you're doing all of those jobs low key too,
yeah. And then,
low key
because what people will remember, I think, out of a wedding the most is the music and the food. Those two things they
for
will remember.
sure,
Yeah,
for sure. And and what's funny is like it might be DJ number one on that one though, because if you shit the bed, they're gonna really remember your
oh
ass.
yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But if everybody's having a good time, they dance. They don't even have to be dancing. If everybody's singing, bopping their head. Yeah, man.
totally.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? So, bro. Okay, last question. Oh, before I do the last question, I just want to say this. I meant to circle back to this. You're talking about Jake One. Jake One is such a normal person. If you don't know what he look like, you won't even know it's him.
Totally. He doesn't like. I mean, I could be out of pocket for saying this, but I don't. I feel comfortable saying this. But he almost I get the vibe like he doesn't. He's not about that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying though? Like thanks for the compliment, but leave me the fuck alone, kind of thing. You
right.
know what I mean? Kind of like it's not like that, but
Yeah, because we seen
he
him at the. Remember, we was all at the Smith and Wesson concert.
yeah,
I don't think half the people knew who he was, and he was just in the crowd like a normal person.
dog. little Mosey didn't know who the fuck he was. How the fuck do you expect half these people, especially in that generation, to know who he is?
Right. And he's just in the crowd vibing, and nobody knows who this
He's
guy
chilling.
is. Right.
Chilling.
That's nuts.
Nobody has any idea what they're doing. And then, you know, what's funny is that I was out with some friends the other night. I'm not going to say names. I can't. I get killed for this.
It's all good. Yeah.
An up and like a newer rapper in the scene that has a lot of traction. Rocco Flow came on, and he didn't know it was Jake.
Wow.
And that's our boy.
Right.
And I'm like, dang, you didn't know that? And like, we kind of like low-key gave him shit for a second. But then we realized, oh, okay, you know, that record came out, da-da-da-da-da, you know? So it's like, okay. But you definitely should have known that
Right.
kind of thing. So, no, I mean, nobody knows Jake. And I mean, it's even crazier probably. Well, maybe. I was going to say, it's kind of the same thing I feel like with Vida too. But I think that a lot more the younger guys know Vida because like he still like mixes and masters for a lot of those cats.
Right. You know what I mean? And Vida's so chill and he's everywhere. You know, Vida will pop up on you. You'd be like, oh shit, what's up, Vida?
You know what I mean? And you know it's Vida. That is like certainly the difference between, you know, like him and Jake. You know, it's like Jake's out there, but like you said, you know, if you don't know who Jake is, like you don't know who he is.
Right. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, who's this white guy?
Mm-hmm. And I've had that happen before where like it was like, oh man, Jake's in the building or something, say it to a friend and they're like, where's Jake one? And then you point to him or like introduce him and they're like, that was definitely not what they expected.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, that's dope. I mean, gosh, it'd be cool to walk the city like that. I mean, people like Macklemore can't do that shit.
No, not at all.
All right, great.
All right, man. So last question, real easy. How could people find you on social media?
Social media, I'm pretty much on Instagram because Facebook is crazy. Just at Swerve1, SWERVEWON.
Okay. That's it, man. So, bro,
Nice.
I appreciate you being on.
Appreciate you too, man.
Yeah, man, I got to know you better, bro. Man, dog.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's why I do this, man, because one, I want to hear
100%.
your story, but I want to get to know you. As many times I've seen you, dog, I thought you was 35, bro.
Brown don't frown, bro.
So, and I said at the beginning of this podcast, this new young DJ, like, oh, no, he's not young. You know,
I'm young at heart.
There you go. Hey, once again, man, thank you, bro. And
Thank you, man. Let's cook soon.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Until next time, bro, man, peace.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Man, once again, thanks for listening to the Fresh Out the Northwest podcast. It's all about representing Northwest hip-hop culture. All episodes are available on Apple, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. I truly appreciate everyone that supports the podcast, and I'm going to keep hitting you with new episodes every week. Until next time, peace.